Hi, and welcome back to Woman's Heart Podcast. I'm your host, Edna Howard, founder of Voices of Encouragement. It's an organization designed to empower women. And I'm so excited you're joining me for another empowering message because this month we are shining the spotlight on wellness and well-being. We specialize in helping women find and claim their personal power. My organization provides educational products, training, mentoring, empowerment workshops, and networking events for women all over the world. And today I am honored and privileged to have on the show with me a friend of mine and co-worker, Cecilia Villalon. Cecilia is a functional nutrition therapist practitioner certified by the Nutritional Therapy Association. She most recently completed her BioAcoustic professional training by the Institute of BioAcoustic Biology and Sound Health. That is a lot to say, but awesome stuff. Cecilia understands that today's modern diet is the cause of a myriad of health problems that we all know about, and is focused on educating others on the importance of nutrition, dense, real food diet. I love that. So think of me as your chief encouragement officer, bringing you firsthand expertise and knowledge from a functional nutrition therapy practitioner who has a passion for helping her clients shift perspective about food. Cecilia is a gifted coach who is using her superpowers for good. Welcome to the show today, Cecilia.
Hi, Edna. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. This is
Thanks
going to
for
be
being
fun.
here. Well, we're super excited to have you join us today. And so let's just jump right on in. Tell us who you are from your heart and what makes you get up in the morning.
Oh, goodness. What makes me get up in the morning? Well, besides my little 10-month-old puppy,
Because he's probably wanting you to take him out.
he needs to go potty.
Right,
Um,
right.
the other thing that gets me up in the morning is actually just the early morning. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
the quietness of the morning time,
Mhm.
uh, especially before, things get busy. It's quiet, it's reflective, it's meditative, the stillness, that helps.
Mhm.
And, I also really enjoy, like, having, waking up from a deep sleep and
Mhm.
then going into a quiet meditative state. Once
Mhm.
I bring the puppy back in
Mhm.
and yeah, I mean, that that gets me up, and then just my being able to learn new things every day. For me, that's also very exciting.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thanks for sharing that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey and who and what has helped you become this practitioner in this space? Because has something happened to you directly, or just your awareness of food and how food is making us ill, and you decided to do something about it? Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah. Well, it hasn't been very straightforward.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um Gosh, it like started in 2009, and it started actually with learning how to make soap.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so learning how to make soap kind of got me in the state of just checking things out that are all things natural, because
Mm-hmm.
like the handmade soap that I had just had 6 ingredients, and it was like, "Oh, well, this is really simple," and it got me curious. And
Mm-hmm.
then from then on, I learned how to make that, and then just over time, also just life, I just started seeing, getting older, I
Right.
started seeing older people and, getting sick.
Right.
I spent a lot of time too at my husband's parents' assisted living,
Mm-hmm.
and just started to connect like food with health, and then
Mm-hmm.
also seeing family members, like the medications they were taking. And
Mm-hmm.
I knew then that, like, I didn't want, I had to make a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I had to decide, okay, well, I can continue down the trajectory of, I mean, I wasn't eating bad, but I would have occasional fast food here and there.
Right.
Um, and then, then just seeing that in general just made me realize, okay, well, I had to make a decision. And
Mhm.
then from there, you know, in 2013, I actually started the bioacoustic training
Mhm.
about 10 years ago, and that blew my mind away.
Right.
But when I first took that training, it was so overwhelming, and I didn't know much about nutrition, how our body worked,
Mhm.
how nutrients, you know, how food actually brought nutrients into our bodies and
Right.
how it did.
Mhm.
I had no idea, you know, and so so from there, I went on to study and take the nutritional therapy practitioner course, that
Mhm.
certification
Mhm.
program, and that set me, you know, gave me the foundations that I needed to understand, okay, well, gosh, you know, everything starts with what we eat.
Right.
Like that saying, you are what you eat.
Really. It's
Actually matters. Like, yeah, it's like it's the food, the vegetables, the you know, the proteins, all of that our body utilizes,
Mhm.
and it's what creates healthy cells. It's what regrows, you know, skin cells, you know, it's just all of that stuff kind of happened over time, and it took us, you know, the last 10, 13 years, and also a lot of it is just experimenting on myself, experimenting, helping my mom,
Mhm.
helping some friends, you know, adjusting the diet.
Mhm.
um it's, yeah, it's kind of a, I don't know, I think everything is a journey, and that's kind of what took me from, you know, from with the soap journey, you know, coming to here. And then in addition to that, like I was exposed to things like sound crystal singing bowl sound baths,
Mhm. Mhm.
also in 2000, you know, around the same time in 2009.
Mhm.
And um and that really like shifted my outlook. Like I've never been able to meditate before until I experienced the crystal bowls, which brought me into, like, it was able to get me into this, you know, that blissful state, that deep meditative state. And
Mhm.
then so of course, you know, I went and bought my own set of crystal singing bowls, and
To make sure
and
you can get in that state all the time, right? Whenever you want it.
exactly.
I love it.
Exactly. So yeah, so I started doing crystal singing bowl sound baths for myself, for my pets, for my friends, and for my family,
Right.
and sharing, you know, just sharing that with as many people as I could.
Mhm.
And then from that type of crystal bowl singing, you know, like singing bowls,
Mhm.
that piqued my interest in bioacoustics, because bioacoustics is, you know, also has to deal with sound therapies in
Mhm.
in a different way, but the whole world with sound therapy and nutrition, just, you know, that just opened up a whole world that I
Wow.
didn't realize I actually love now.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. So if you, and also don't forget to tell folks that you have a harp, you play a harp
Oh
too.
yeah.
And also you have this great recipe for sourdough bread, which I haven't received yet, but I will be on you about that. But so I want you to share, just take a deeper dive into the bioacoustics. I mean, what is it? You know, you told a little bit about it, but what is cutting edge research? What is that? What does it combine? It combines vocal
Gosh.
and yeah, tell me
Yeah.
about that
Yeah.
because that's
So
important.
in very simple terms, it's basically like our voices, like our voice has, it carries data.
Mhm.
It carries information.
Mhm.
And basically like to just break it down, it's taking a recording of your voice.
Mhm.
It's like between 30 to 40 seconds.
Mhm.
And you know, and I use a simple recording software that you can get online. It's called Audacity. And so from that recording, the founder, Sherry Edwards, she developed software that can actually that analyzes the voice, the vocal recording. So like our voice has these frequencies, And there are like frequency equivalents that match up to could be like biochemicals, it could be nutrients, cells, muscle. Our vocal prints can tell us where there's like inefficiencies basically
Mhm.
in our body. It has that kind of information.
Mhm.
It's not straightforward. It's not like I get a report and it goes bam, 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 here's all the issues. There's some human aspect, investigative aspect to it. I have to, we have to take into consideration like what health issues you want to research. It's basically researching your voice and pulling out those points.
Mhm.
And then from there, we can then, there's something called a sound presentation where we can program this tone box that, with specific frequencies that we could test out on you. And those frequencies can basically help whatever it is, that you're trying to work on. But I guess I should say, ultimately, it's to help support your body's foundations. I'll just say it that way.
Right.
Whatever the problem is, we could program specific tones and frequencies to help it based on the report,
Mhm.
and it may or may not work. It just depends. Sometimes the problem is even deeper, right? Like sometimes it's not just that one specific thing that you're trying to target. It actually, you have to go, deeper into your body to figure it out. So sometimes it takes additional work. So yeah, I'm starting to get back into this, and it's just I'm always blown away because who who thought that the voice can carry data, but it does.
And that's so cool because what it is going to make you be a specialist. Like you're specialized in that, and then you also have your functional nutrition
Yeah.
practitioner you're doing. So you'll be able to just be able to put that out there and then say, I specialize in this, and so people will come to you for that as well. I love that. That's so good.
Yeah.
That's it's smart.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Very
combines it. So you can have like the nutrition part where we could work with you on tailoring your, diet into something more specific. What I loved about the nutrition therapy program that I did is that
Mhm.
it's not specific to any diet at all.
Right.
It's all about like nutrient dense whole foods. And it's all
Is that
about,
like
like,
shopping at Whole Foods, Cecilia? Like you would have to go to Whole Foods to get the foods if you're working with if you're coaching someone through that process. Is there a specific place you would recommend for folks to go and purchase foods?
oh, I mean, not really. It's, whatever works for them. The cleaner the food, the better, organic,
Okay.
that doesn't
Mhm.
have, because foods that are not organic tend to be sprayed with pesticides, and pesticides, as we
Mhm.
know, it's not good for our endocrine systems. It's not good for our bodies
Right.
overall. So it's like cleaning your diet that way. When I say clean, it's like reducing as much chemicals and pesticides from our diet as possible. But yeah, you can however way you want to buy your food, you can still go to your same grocery stores.
Mhm.
Um, I've learned over time, and the one thing I love doing is going to the farmers market. And
Yes. We have a big one on Saturdays and Sundays here in
yeah,
Dallas. So yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
I
Mhm.
love going directly to the farms and the local farms and getting my veggies that way. And same thing with meat. I like going directly to the farms also. So yeah, there's many different ways to do that.
I love it. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So, what keeps you motivated and focused to continue to elevate the work you're doing in the world? Because the work you're doing is truly important. It's educating folks about kind of elevating their thinking around the type of food they're putting in their body, what they're putting in, and even to the point where if people are ill or sick, it could be attributed to the food that they're eating.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, what keeps me going, I I think it's like my mom, my friends just wanting to help.
Right. Right.
There's just this part of me that just, you know, like it's funny because my family wanted me to become a doctor. And
Now you're becoming sort of a
well,
doctor.
yeah. And I was
Right.
like, well, I was like, I don't know if I want to go the traditional route of
Right.
being a
Right.
medical doctor.
Right.
It it just wasn't it just wasn't for me.
Mhm.
But, the whole thing with nutrition and now this, like, to me, this is fascinating. And so I think that's what keeps me going. I just have this innate natural curiosity,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
that is just, I don't know. I'm always curious. I'm
Right.
always reading a book. I can be reading 5 or 6 books at a time.
I'm like that too, Cecilia. I think sometimes, why don't you just focus on the one? But it's like, oh no, I got to get this. I need this over here. Yeah.
I know, it's funny. So I think that's what keeps me going. It's my curiosity of
Hmm.
the world. What else is there?
Yeah.
I like to like explore the unconventional aspects of life, of the world. To me, that's fascinating. So yeah,
That's
and just
so fascinating because even with you playing the harp and me talking with
yeah,
you, and I realized I was like, she is truly grounded, and you know what your passions are, and you know what you love to do, and I think that's wonderful.
yeah. Well, it helps. I get guided.
Mhm.
Um, God guides me into
Mhm.
various places. There's definite moments where it's like I'm being called to do
Right,
this.
right.
The harp was one of them.
Mhm. Which I love. Oh, and tell us about you're using the harp to make some of the sounds that you were talking about. Just
Yeah. I wanna do that. That's another thing I'm working on figuring out,
Mhm,
because I know there's been other musicians that have taken
mhm,
the sound frequencies, and they've
mhm.
converted it into music.
I love.
Now, it might not sound like a traditional, Western song,
Right.
but but like it's you know, instead of you listening to like these low humming kind of bassy type sounds, you're
Mhm.
listening to it on a guitar
Right, right.
or
Mhm.
maybe on a piano or like a harp. So yeah, that's one of the things that I want to do is figure that out. And because I think that would be kind of interesting. Like if I, from the bioacoustics, taking those custom sound frequencies and then converting it into the harp and then giving that to you to listen
Mhm.
to,
Right.
that would be an interesting experiment.
You can experiment on me when you just say give it to me. It's
Yes.
like, yes, I will take it and I'll be your test case. That'd be awesome. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm pretty
Wonderful.
excited about that project. I want to see how that is because I mean, like I said, I was called to learn the harp
Right.
for a reason. And
Hmm.
I was definitely called um, to go back go back and study bioacoustic and to help with that research. And so let's see how to, I'll marry the two together.
That's going to be wonderful. I'm looking forward to seeing how all of that transpires. So,
Yeah.
what would your ideal client look like? Like, who would come to you, and if they're seeking, or do they seek you, or do you put information out and then you just read about you and say, hey, I need to connect with her? What does your ideal client look like? What would be happening in their life? Like, are they
Hmm.
having health issues, or what's going on with them?
Yeah. I think like my ideal client would most likely be somebody who's also very curious,
Right.
who, maybe the conventional methods isn't working for them.
Mm-hmm.
They want to try something different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they are ready to take control of their health.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're, these days it's very easy to like just take a pill.
Right. I mean, and you can get it from your doctor. That's where
Yeah,
oh, let's just take this pill, and oh
yeah,
yeah, you got a pain right there. Go take that pill. And so now you got all. And I have to say, before my mom passed away, she was taking 12 pills a day.
yeah, yeah.
So I
That's
looked at that and I thought, wow, what are they giving my mom to, what is happening? So it was a lot when I saw that. I was like, 12 pills a day is a lot.
yeah.
The
You,
kidney cannot handle that.
no, exactly. And a lot of these pills have side effects.
Yes, that too.
And sometimes you take a pill to counter a side effect of another pill. To me, that
Right.
doesn't make sense at all. And that was actually a statistic I did learn in my nutrition therapy program, is that I think by the time you're like, I don't know, 60 or 65 maybe, you are taking like a dozen like medication.
Right.
So yeah, kind of like what you said about your mom.
Mhm.
And that when I learned that like just blew my mind away. I was like, whoa. I was like, how do we not do that? Because I mean,
Right.
100 years ago, I don't think anybody was taking that
Right.
much.
I think the pharmaceutical companies are very happy,
Oh,
that's part of it too, that the whole
definitely.
pharmaceutical industry, medical industry, but that's another podcast. Because
That is
it's,
another,
yes,
don't get
it's
me started on that. That's another podcast.
right, right, right. Got to
So
talk about the
so yeah, it's someone who wants to take control of their life
plan.
and is ready to really make lifestyle changes, and they want to try something different, and they want to go the natural and holistic route. That's who I love to work with.
Love that. So would you also consider working with women who are looking to lose weight and that kind of thing? Because part of it is
Oh,
the way that they eat. And then also, do you
yeah.
incorporate intermittent fasting in any of your programs?
Yeah, actually back in like 2015, around that time after I did the nutrition therapy program,
Mhm.
I was doing sugar detox, like month-long sugar
Mhm.
detox around here in Portland. So yeah, I've I've guided people through that. That is something I could bring back. That would be fun. I mean,
Mhm.
it's a month-long thing, but you do the actual sugar detox. It's 14 days,
Yeah.
and it resets your taste buds. It's interesting, to
Love to
kind of
go through
see.
that with you. I think that'd be so cool. I've had cut back. I mean, literally, I don't eat white sugar. I stopped eating white sugar years ago. But
Yeah.
it shows up in everything, though. Sugar shows up in stuff. So
Oh,
you know what to look for. You got to know what's on the package, and what they're saying is not sugar
yep.
in something else, but another word. So
There are hundreds of names that they've created for synthetic sugars. That and that's one thing too, is that I learned is in my nutrition classes, reading your food labels.
right, right.
I mean, it's sometimes we have to, well, oftentimes we have to go back. Those are the basics, is going back to the basics, reading your food labels.
Hmm.
Um, if you can't understand a word in an ingredient, don't
Right,
eat it.
right. You can't even pronounce it, but you're eating
If
it,
you
right?
if you can't pronounce it, don't buy it. And
That's
sugar,
dumb.
and you're right about sugar. Sugar, when I started reading labels,
Mhm.
like I found it in everything. I found it in boxed foods where I was like, why is it even in here? Or even in spaghetti sauces. It's
Yep, 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 mhm,
salad dressings.
mhm,
It's in everything. So yeah, it's like, if I'm trying to remember what the statistic was. I
mhm.
think like the average American, if you're buying at at a grocery store, and you're just buying, you know, those kinds of things like salad dressings, spaghetti sauce, canned foods.
Right.
Um, I think it came out to, and don't quote me on this, but it's like around 150 pounds a year of sugar
Yeah. I
per
can see
person.
Yeah, because you're consuming it, and you don't, and it's affecting your body. It's affecting how you feel. It's affecting your mood. All of that, because
Um,
food has a lot to do with your mood, and sugar certainly
yeah,
gets you high, and then you drop. Then you're in a mood,
yeah,
a funk, or sleepy. But
yeah.
yeah, we got another podcast show. Let's see, we got one. We
We
got one about the medical field and pharmaceutical industry. We have one about sugar in general, just talk about sugars, what that looks like. So yeah, it sounds like you're going to be back on the show. Love it. But so what do you think keeps you positive? What keeps you in a positive mindset and pushing you through when you have adversity in life and in business?
Mm, um, laughing, being able
Yeah.
to laugh
Yes. That's
and
so,
not taking everything so seriously.
yeah. Where'd that come from? Were you always like that, Cecilia, or you've learned to be like that because you know that's your way
Um,
of being light?
I have to remind myself this.
Hmm.
Um, and I also kind of it's also reflected back to me
Hmm.
when I interact with other people who are being really serious about
Hmm.
something, and I see in their body how they've closed up and they're tight, and it
Right.
reminds me, okay, like, slow down, um, think about this deeper, just
Hmm.
laugh. I also have a very childlike aspect to myself too. I like to be playful.
Right.
Um, and so being playful comes with laughing,
Hmm.
uh, and that characteristic also adds to not taking things too seriously when you just have no control over it. You and I have talked about this
Can't control
before.
it. Yeah, we can control. We have no control. You just have to kind of go with the
Exactly.
flow. Yeah, and continue to stay in
Yeah.
prayer and understand that you have been called to do certain things, and God's going to guide you. I think that's it right there. Just understanding the guidance is there. You've been called,
Yes.
and enjoying the journey is important, because when you don't enjoy the journey, you're so stressed out trying to get to the next thing or make the next thing happen, you lose sight of what's important.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. So
yeah,
yeah. So I mean, I appreciate when you remind me of those things too. It's like
mhm.
we have no control. And
You
it's
really
like,
don't.
right. So then I
Yeah.
go through my process of, okay, yeah, it's right. You're right. I have no control. Ah, I just gotta laugh about it. And just wait and see. It's like,
Right, and wait and see. And usually, and typically, things work out. Right, they work out. They just
oh
do.
yeah,
They just
yeah,
work out. You don't have to be stressed about it. You don't have to fuss about it. It just
yep,
works out. And then you're like, well, if you spent all this time going crazy about it, thinking you can fix it, and then it works out anyway, look at all the time you wasted. That's
I
what I
know.
look at. You have wasted time, my friend. Why are we doing this? Right. So no, I find myself laughing more and more over the years just about things, and keeping that sense of humor is important, Cecilia. Just having a sense of humor and
Yeah.
that like wonder about life. I think that's wonderful. So thank you for that. So I know I said your superpower was you being this amazing and coming in with all of the uniqueness that you're doing with all your training that you're doing. But what do you think that your superpower is? What makes you unique?
I think I'm actually a great listener.
Okay, awesome. I love that.
That I I've noticed that over the years. Um,
Wonderful.
I've found that even strangers have a very easy time opening up to me,
Mhm.
and I always thought that was kind of interesting, especially when I was younger, and but now it's like, yeah, I
It's a gift.
still find it
Mhm.
fascinating. But yeah, I'm a good listener, and I also feel like my intuition
Mhm.
is fairly strong.
Mhm.
Part of that is just being open,
Mhm.
um, having that, just also having that direct connection with God,
Right.
strengthens
So
my intuition.
mhm.
Um, yeah.
Love that. Everything you said, yes. That is awesome. I love it. So can you tell us or give a piece of advice to someone who may be in need of your services? I mean, if you know of anyone, so if anybody can hear you on this podcast, somebody that might be thinking, I need to try something different, or, I've been trying to lose weight, or I'm trying to cut my sugar back. I'm trying to do something that can help me feel better. What would your advice be to that person?
Well, I guess just reach out.
Okay.
Yeah, just reach out. We can explore. If there's, I think I I think anything's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think most things are reversible,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it could be done with just going back to the basics.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Mhm.
we try to complicate things too much,
Right.
and it's just like sometimes it's just stepping back, going back to the basics. And for me, the basics is going back to Whole Foods and not the grocery store, but nutrient. And when I
Whole
say
Foods. You're not talking about the Whole Food store. You're saying Whole Foods in general. Because
right,
yeah.
I'm talking about like
Because I was going to respond. I was like, I'm going to go to Whole Foods.
like
I love
fresh
Whole Foods.
vegetables.
Yes, yes.
Those are your fresh vegetables. I mean that like sometimes that alone
Mhm.
makes a huge difference. Just just with your diet, I guess. And I don't like saying diet because it's not a diet. It's just it's it's going back to the way we used to eat. People used to eat, picking apples from the trees, picking a
Right,
fruit.
right.
Um, Food that grows in soil,
Mhm.
not food in a box. For
Mhm.
me, it's all about that. It's just going back to those basics is
Oh,
sometimes it's all we need to do.
wonderful. Thank you for that. That's so good. So you're a successful woman of faith and in the health and wellness industry now. So what's next for Cecilia?
Let's see. Gonna continue my studies.
Mhm. Mhm.
Let's see, gonna continue the research,
Mhm.
uh, the harp, the harp project,
Mhm. I love
and then
that.
yeah, and start taking on, clients here and there, and just continuing to help people.
I love it. Wonderful. So, and it sounds like you have a heart to serve too, as you're journeying through life. You're just like, who can I help? Who can I help?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, like we could probably do another podcast on pharmaceuticals and
Oh,
that,
there
but
we go. We will. We got three. Got three coming up. I love it.
like,
So,
yeah, just seeing that kind of stuff is what drives me. It's just like, oh, there are other ways than taking a pill,
right, right. And I think too, when I saw that movie, it was on Netflix's documentary, What the Health.
Uh-huh.
I felt like, well, what can I eat? I mean, it was like nothing. I mean, it just showed, it was almost like, just don't eat at all. At this point, I was like, what? How do you navigate that? I mean, they're showing you true things that are happening with our food. It's almost like we're getting food given to us that's making us sick. And
Yeah,
so now, if you're not smart about it and looking at the packages or focusing on where you're shopping and what you're consuming, you could get sick, or you
yeah.
might, you have some ailments and things like that. And what I'm hearing you say is clean eating is the way to go.
Clean eating. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
And
I love
yeah, clean eating. And for me, over the years, it's been going directly to the local farmers, and getting the
it.
food there.
Yes.
Actually knowing the people who grow your food.
Mhm.
That's something I learned over the years, and love it now. Like I love taking, a couple hours out of my day to go and picking up my vegetables from the farm once
Yeah.
a week.
Hmm.
So, and I live in the city too, and it can be done.
So put you out into the suburbs when you go into the farm. Is that
Yeah.
what's yeah.
Yep.
And so where do you live?
Well, I'm in Portland, Oregon.
Okay. I wanted to ask you that because I love Zoom because you just can interview anybody anywhere all
I
over the world.
know.
So
I know, it's exciting.
yes, it is. So with that said, Cecilia, can you tell us how folks can get in touch with you?
Goodness. They can get in touch with me via email.
Okay.
Well, it's Cecilia at CeciliaVillalon.com.
It'll be in the show notes.
Yes.
You go ahead and give it. Go ahead and give it because somebody might write it down, but I will put it
I
on the
know. Just look at the show notes. That's why I laughed, because I was like, oh, I mean, you should hear me when I'm on the phone trying to spell my last name to people.
right, right. It's so funny.
But yeah, they can reach me there. I'm still in the process of getting my website set up,
Mhm.
and yeah, just send me an email.
Awesome. Well, wonderful. Cecilia, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. It truly has been a pleasure having this conversation with you, and you are really impacting the world and making a difference around you. So thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you, Edna. This was so much fun.
Yes, it was. Thank you. And I want to say to the audience, that's a wrap. And I hope you were able to capture some pearls of wisdom from Cecilia. She dropped all kinds of wisdom on us today, and I'm appreciative of that. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, please make sure you like, subscribe, and tell a friend, and help us grow our YouTube channel. And Women's Empowerment Workshop announcements. We have the Encouragement Cafe Women's Empowerment Virtual Workshop. You are called to your greatness, scheduled to take place Saturday, August the 5th. You can register on the VOE website or Eventbrite. And we also have a flyer that's out there in social media. You can register on that site as well. And if you need to take a deeper dive, get unstuck, shift perspective, or shift your thinking, then you reach out to me for some one-on-one coaching or join me in a mastermind group session. And you can learn more about Voices of Encouragement at voicesoфencouragement.com. You can hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm on under Voices of Encouragement LLC. And like I always like to say when I end every podcast, until we meet again, Ephesians 4:1, walk worthy of the call for which you were called.